Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from Destruction San. And Destruction San has a question about my terminology. And Destruction San points out that I often use the phrase work with, but he's not quite sure what I mean by that and could I elaborate. And he gives the specific example of working with a dragon. And what would this mean? And my answer to this is that the term work with is actually intentionally vague, and it covers a wide range of territory. And it really depends entirely on what we're talking about working with and what the context is. It can mean many different things. And in general, I use the term to refer to working with spirits and deities, working with items such as gemstones or herbs, working with different kinds of magic or different techniques or traditions of magic. And those are the main uses I can think of that I would use for the phrase to work with, but I've probably used it for other things too. To work with something obviously is to work with it, but the most likely ways that you would work with something are to seek spiritual guidance, to seek spiritual development, or to use it in particular magical ways, or to attune to its energy. And these would be true kind of across the board, but of course if you're attuning to the energy of a deity, it's one thing, and if you're attuning to the energy of a stone, it's another. But in both cases, you're trying to bring that influence into your life. For example, if you're attuning to the stone rose quartz, you're trying to develop love, particularly self-love, but also romantic love, depending on how you're focusing the energy. If you're working with the goddess Venus, you could be very well doing it for the same purpose, to develop love. And Venus could also both apply to romantic love, to sexual adventure, or to self-love, depending entirely on your relationship with her. These are two ways that you could work with the rose quartz or with Venus. If you were working with a dragon, as Destruction San asks about, most likely you would be seeking spiritual guidance or spiritual aid. When you're working with a spirit or a deity, such as a dragon, which I would consider to be a spirit, you're looking sometimes for help with things that they specialize in. Again, Venus for love. Another example might be if you happen to be pregnant, or if you are concerned about someone who is pregnant, you might want to work with a goddess such as Taweret from Egypt, who particularly protected pregnant mothers. There are many different deities with many different purposes that you can work for toward those purposes. The same with stones. If you're wanting to develop psychically, you might want to work with lapis lazuli or with amethyst. You would work with them, in the case of stones, by using them in specific ways, by carrying them, by using them in different kinds of magic, perhaps in mojo bags, etc. If you were working with a spirit, you would work with it by communing with it, by perhaps through visions, perhaps through divination, perhaps through direct spirit messaging, perhaps through dreams, perhaps through divination. There are many different ways to do this, but you're basically trying to bring those energies into your life. And working with these different things, again, is a very wide range of subjects and very many different ways to do it, but basically it's a matter of attuning to those energies or bringing them into your life or seeking benefit from them. Probably the most common reasons, at least in the background that I come from, that you would be working with a deity or a spirit is for spiritual development and enlightenment, but also for help with very physical things, such as the ones I've described. When we talk about working with different systems of magic, you would be using the different techniques that come within that system. So when we talk about working with things, we're talking about working to improve your life, either in specific situations, such as seeking prosperity or romance or what have you, or in general in terms of spiritual guidance and advancement. So that's basically what I would mean by the term. And again, there are many, many different ways to work with something and many different things you can work with, but these would be the reasons. So I hope that explains it and gives you something to think about, and until next time, may you blessed be. Pray for peace. Pray for love. Pray for stability. Pray for the nation where you live. Pray for the world. The Tarot of Hecate. My 100-card tarot deck, 30 years in the making, finally available to you from witchschoolstore.com. Check out a copy today.